Hi, my name is Chuck Mitsui. I'm the director of One Kind Day, which is a local coming-of-age story about a Hawaiian skateboarder who wakes up in the morning and is told that his girlfriend is pregnant.
Austin, I think we have a problem. I'm pregnant.
Go ahead.
Shorts and slippers on, but 3 G's up on my wrist. Now I'm buzzing, yeah, I'm sipping on this. I got a bottle that you can't afford, a car that you can't pronounce.
The kind of influences behind the film were just some of the things that I've seen going on and just how kids grow up here. I started a skateboard shop in 1995, and working at the skateboard shop I had a lot of interactions with kind of teenagers, similar to Ralsto, who's the main character of One Kind Day. And I just saw a lot of repetition in what they were going through and some of my own experiences in what they were going through too. And I felt that Hawaii hasn't really been represented too well on the big screen, and that this may be a kind of a story that's universal that could help get a little insight into the culture out here and how it exists today. To a lot of people, I think it might be shocking that these kids growing up in Hawaii choose to get involved in certain things that you wouldn't expect necessarily, and to just live an existence outside of that beach culture.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the visual style, sort of what you were trying to go for with the visual style of the film?
Okay, yeah. So visually with One Kind Day, what I tried to do is really put you on the ground floor with these characters and kind of walking through the day, more in a voyeuristic sense, not really stagey or anything like that. We didn't use any sets. Everything you see in the movie is on location. It was to the point where we were knocking on people's doors saying, hey, you know what, your house looks really good for this movie we're trying to make. Is there any way we can use your house? And you know, a lot of times they'd be like, there's no way, I don't even know who you are. So, you know, a lot of doors got shut. But when we moved into Waimanalo, which is an area of Windward, Oahu, where a lot of our crew had ties, we started knocking on doors. Oh, who are you? Oh, you know my cousin. Oh, yeah, what are you making? Oh, it's a skateboarding movie about a local Hawaiian skateboarder. Oh, yeah, you can use my house, sure. They'd invite us in, and a lot of times I would just go into the house, and they're like, oh, do you want me to clean up or do anything? And it was perfect. Just walking in, I saw things from the character's life in these rooms already, and I honestly just say, don't touch anything, don't move anything, don't even clean it up. Let's come in on the day and we'll maybe rearrange a little bit, but we'll keep it mostly that way. So it was interesting. It wasn't necessarily how I had imagined it. I thought things would be a little more organized and like that, but I think the rawness and just the pace we went through really comes across to get you in these kids' shoes and see how they're running through a day. Because One Kind Day does take place all in one day, and you get to see a lot of different families, a lot of different family dynamics. The movie does kind of portray a big mix of cultures, I think, not just Asian American, but also gets into the Hawaiian cultures as well as kind of the Caucasian people who've moved here to Hawaii. And it is a big melting pot of different cultures here, mostly from around the Pacific. And that was kind of one of the main draws for me, being someone of mixed race. I'm Scottish and Japanese, and it's a little weird growing up being Scottish and Japanese and not really finding an identity, you know. And when I came to Hawaii, I just looked around and I said, wow, everyone is like me here. This is amazing. And that kind of prompted me to want to move here. And as soon as I moved here, I knew I was home. And that being such a big influence on me moving here, I felt was what I wanted to portray about the world here. Of yes, it is a place with mixed cultures. You have the lead character who's Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, and his girlfriend's white. And yeah, they're going to have a Hapa baby too. So, you know, that's just how it keeps going. And there's no real boundaries or racisms in that way. And it's sort of one of the unique things about Hawaii that I think has really been missed a lot. And hopefully One Kind Day can shed some light on that.
Great. You know, the music has I think a really key role in sort of also establishing the vibe of the film. Can you talk a little bit about your musical choices in the film?
Sure. The music for One Kind Day is really something that we knew we wanted to do early on. There's a lot of music being produced here that doesn't necessarily go beyond the island. So it's really popular here. You hear it on the radio. even if you're not into it, you know those songs just because you're bombarded with them so much. But it's really cool. It's got kind of a R&B reggae vibe to it, and the more I digged into the music, the more variety I found, and I noticed that it really kind of was parallel to a lot of the world that I was developing for One Kind Day.
Awesome. Can you talk about making the film, the process of making the film, a little bit about that?
Sure. I actually started with more kind of being the guy who didn't skateboard as well as the other kids, so I would be the one holding the video camera all the time, and just kind of capturing these kids skateboarding and my friends and everything, and eventually you got this whole library of videotapes, and the questions always, oh, are you ever going to do something with it? And yeah, I started putting together these short skateboarding movies, and it was interesting because first I kind of learned how to edit, and that was a whole eye-opening thing for me. But after that, I learned that I wanted to tell stories, and stories about these kids, and a lot of times the documentary style, you're sort of left with what you get. And for me, I wanted to do something bigger and to tell a story and have a story arc and have sort of some conclusion to what's going on. And it actually freed me up because I wasn't dependent on, oh, I have to get this clip that's real or anything. I could write these scenes now and develop a whole story that was kind of in my head but inspired by true things.